Hey, if you want to learn how to write a Power Automate flow to send an email and then use that email to verify someone's email address and update some data in the database, keep watching. Hi everybody, I'm Roger Brogan and this is Azure Power Dev, where we learn how to write applications with little or no code. And today we're going to build on a prior video where we wrote a portal that you could use as an email list tracker. Today we're going to set up some Power Automate flows to send an email to that email address with a link that they can use to validate that email. So let's get started.
All right, so we have our email subscriber table here that we've created in the prior video, and we're going to be collecting email and full name for our email list, but we also want to make sure that the email has verified. So we've set up a portal that when you go in here and let me refresh the capture here. Let's say I go in here and I sign up. Then we've got a record that will be created over here in this row. And we can see that, yes, I subscribe, but no, I have not been verified. So what we would like to do is set up a way so that it will automatically send an email to someone who signs up and give them a nice link to verify their email address so that we know that this is a valid email. So a simple way to do that is with Power Automate flows. Power Automate used to be just called Power Flow, but still it's called Power Automate now. And let's go ahead and we're going to do this with two flows. We're going to do it with a flow that is actually going to send the email when the record is created. And then in that email, we're going to generate a link that's going to trigger another flow when they click on that link. And then that's going to toggle that verified to yes. So let's get started. The flow that I'm going to start with is, we'll just pick a flow name here. We'll call this the send verify email flow. And I'm going to skip this because the trigger that I want for this is going to be a common data service trigger. And we're going to use this one here when a row is added, modified, or deleted. And specifically, the change type is on creation. We're just going to do this once. The table that we want is my email subscriber here. And for scope, we'll just pick organization. And when this is created, we want to send an email. So let's type in send. We're going to use our Office 365. Send an email, which they're currently on V2. And conveniently, since I have the email in the record that was created, we'll use that as the 2. For subject, verify your email, please. And we could formulate the body. We could go ahead and use their full name, which would be nice. Please click below link verify your email. And then we've got to put a link there. And we'll come back to how we build up this link here, but essentially what we want to do is we want to grab the, um, the primary key for this new record that was added. And we're just going to see how to get that. It's not available right here in our dynamic content, so we'll need to use an expression to get that. But I'm just going to go ahead and save this. And we'll go ahead and test it and see how it works. So it's waiting for us to add another row. So I'm going to go back to our portal here. And put my name in again, this time with a 2. Thank you for signing up. And it looked like it ran successfully here. So let's take a look at specifically the outputs in the body. And let me grab these and throw them into Notepad over here. And we'll take a look at what we're after. I said we were after the primary key, and it's actually this little field right here. So the email subscriber ID, which is a GUID or GUID, depending on how you want to pronounce that. And that's what we actually want to send in the email, specifically at the end of the link, so we can send that information back to the other flow that we're going to create. So let's see if we can successfully grab that out of there. And the way that we're going to do that is we're going to go grab the trigger outputs and go into the body, and then we're going to grab this particular field out. So now that we know what that looks like, let's go ahead and edit this. And where we're building up our link here, let's go ahead and add the expression. We'll use our trigger outputs. And we're going to go into the body, and then we're going to go into that field name. Go ahead and click OK. Looks happy. Go ahead and save it. And I'm going to go ahead and test this again just to make sure that that's coming through. We can automatically use the prior trigger. It'll be like just so I don't have to create the record again. And now we can take a look up here and look at the output value that we had for that. So subscriber ID 99E, and we can see link 99E. All right, so we're passing the information from the creation of the record into the email. Now we need to build up the first part of this link. So let's go back to our flows. And we're going to create a new flow. And I'm going to call this the verify email flow. And we'll skip the creation here because what I'm looking for the trigger is going to be an HTTP request. And that's this guy right here. And this is why I said we can't build up the link yet, because it's actually going to generate the URL after we save this. Okay, so I am going to set up some other options here as well. Since this is going to be a link in an email, it needs to be an HTTP GET instead of a post, because we can't do a post from an email without maybe some JavaScript. And I'm going to give it a relative path here. We'll just call it verify email. And let's add in our new step. Now, the new step here is going to be Common Data Service, which is actually now called the Dataverse. As you can see, they haven't updated all of the UIs to reflect that yet. And what we're going to do is we're going to go down and we're going to update an existing row, right? So if we think about the flow now, they go to the portal, they sign up, it creates a record with their email address, we send them an email, they click on the link, this executes this flow where we then update that table. So let's go down to our email subscribers table. And this is where we're going to need that row ID, or that globally unique identifier, or the GUID for short. Okay, so how are we going to get that? We've sent it in an email, but we want to send it back in the HTTP request. And the way that we can do that is by using an expression, once again on the trigger outputs. And on the trigger output for that one, let's just do trigger outputs, and then we're going to go into a section, since this is going to be an HTTP request, and we're going to attach this to the end of the query string. So we can go into the queries collection, and then I'm just going to make up the value for the key. We'll just call it ID to keep it simple. And that is going to allow us to find the row in the database. And now what we want to do is switch the verified from no to yes. So let's go ahead and save that. Okay. Now we can get the URL. So let's copy that and take a look at what we have. Okay, so we've got the link to execute this flow with some security information in there. And if we want to pass some additional information on the end, we can do that easy enough. Just throw in an ampersand, and we're going to need to put in the name of our key, which I chose as ID. And we're going to need to set that equal to the value of the new record squid. Okay, so this is what we need. So I'm going to go ahead and copy this. And I'm going to go back to our send an email. And now this part here is where I'm going to add that link. And that should actually build out the link. So let's go ahead and save this. And let's test it. We'll test it again here. All right, so it looked like it generated the link and attached our ID right to the end there. So that's what we want. And let's see if it actually ended up in my email box. Okay, if you have trouble sending emails here, and I did have some trouble with this, so let's take a look at what is going on here. So we can see that we're getting this delivery message failed, and it's giving this access denied, traffic not accepted from the IP. And if we look at the email that was sent, actually we can more easily take a look at this and by just going over to the sent items. We can see that it is in our sent items. Okay, and but you know, why did it get blocked? Well, Microsoft has updated some settings for their anti-spam, and right now their defaulting is picking this up as spam and is actually blocking that. So if you want a place to go fix that, so the place to go fix that is over here in the 060 Office 365 Security and Compliance Threat Management Policy, Anti-Spam Settings, Outbound Spam Filter Policy. And if we go in here and we edit the policy, what the Power Automate flow is using is a forward, an automatic forward. And this is system controlled, and it's detecting that message as spam. And we want to change that to on to allow the forwarding, and save it and hit yes. And nothing, sometimes cloud doesn't work as you would expect. So sorry, we can't update your settings. Okay, they're going to retry it in the background and check back later. Okay, so that's not working right now, but let's go ahead and continue since this is you know, some other issue with sending the email. If that could be changed, then that would work. So now that we've got the link here, let's go ahead and test the link out. Let's go over to the link. And pretty uneventful there. Let's give ourselves maybe a little bit better response than that. But let's go take a look at the flow and see if that flow was executed. And we can see it was in fact executed. And let's see what happened here. So it's updating existing row. Okay. And yeah, there we go. There was the row ID. We switched verified to true. So we should be able to go look at our data in here and verify that. So let's go back to our table. And lo and behold, that was the number 2 that I created there. And yeah, we've got our verified switched over to yes. So that doesn't in fact work, but we could make it a little bit nicer. That's kind of a strange thing to just get sent to a link um, and not have, any indication of what it did. So let's go ahead and give them a little bit uh, better user experience. We don't have to do anything fancy, but after we update the row, we can do the HTTP response. And we could get a little bit fancier here if we wanted to, but I'm just going to say thank you for verifying your email. And we'll just add that. Okay, let's go ahead and save that. And we'll make sure it's saved. And we can use we'll use the same link. So if we go ahead and refresh this link here, we can see now we do get thank you for verifying your email. Now, granted, there's other things we could do. Maybe we could, send them back to the portal or something like that. But this is just a very basic, simple response. So, quick recap, right? When they sign up, they get an email. They click on the link in the email, and they get verified, and it updates in the database. So, that's it. And if you enjoy these videos, please put some comments in the bottom. And always open to suggestions for new kinds of videos. And thanks for watching.